Hey guys, it's Kirk from the Forever Homestead. Today we are going to do a little bit of an unboxing. We've got the final component to our off-grid solar system. For those of you that have been following along, you know that we have a 10K solar system and that the Homestead is off-grid. For those of you that don't know that, you should subscribe and make sure you check out the video. I'll put a link up here. So the solar system is going to work probably perfectly in the summer. You know, we're going to have more than enough power to run the homestead, the house, the barn, everything else. Based on last summer, now we're not using a lot of power right now because we're not living here full time, but by 10 o'clock in the morning the battery bank was back up to 100% charge. I'm sure that'll be different when we live here, but over the summer, spring, fall, there's plenty of sun, and 10K is more than enough to run the homestead. But for those couple of months in the winter, January, February, I mean, it's gray, there's no sun. The batteries, or the solar system, is having a hard time getting the batteries charged. I think today we're sitting at about 70% because we haven't had sun in 3 or 4 days. And when there is a little bit of sun, I mean, we're getting 5 to 10 centimeters of snow a day this year, so the solar panels are always covered. If it is a day that the sun comes out, I come and I sweep off the solar panels and charge up the batteries. But we need a generator. So we just picked up a Generac Ecogen 15kW generator. Buying a generator for an off-grid house is actually pretty difficult. Doing my research before we bought one, I was hoping to do a 10 or 12,000 kilowatt generator, but most of the generators by most of the companies, if you buy a backup generator, it says right in the warranty that it voids the warranty if it's used in an off-grid scenario. Generac has a generator called the Ecogen 15K, and it's built specifically for off-grid. Now, it costs a couple extra $1,000s to get that, but it does have some good features in it. So let's get this package opened. Jess and I moved it in here a couple of days ago. It weighs about 600 pounds, but thankfully there was a lot of snow outside and we can kind of slide it in here. But let's get it opened up. Keys. Alright, so it's got some plastic on it, protecting it up. Now it looks like with the Ecogen, you have to do an online registration, so you got to take your serial number, and go to this website and input serial number and stuff like that. Otherwise, it won't run automatically. It looks like it's for warranty issues. So, got the keys here. There's key on, or lock on both sides here. All right, so it's a couple of days later. Batteries died on the camera, and everything I had here was frozen solid, so I couldn't get into chargers or anything. So I'm going to finish the unboxing of this now. Yeah, I forget where we left off. So yeah, there's keys on both sides of it. There's a key lock on both sides. You open it up, and this front panel just lifts out. Just pull it straight up, and it's out. Nothing to it. So then to get into the owner's manual and the connections for everything, it's actually in the end panel here. So there's just a couple of screws that you have to take out. There's two up here and then one down on the bottom there. And then this panel also just pops up and out. So in the side then they have, comes with, this is the oil change kit. It looks like it comes with a drill, like a pump for your drill, and then hoses and stuff to connect up to the oil pan. Comes with the owner's manuals, and looks like another set of keys, and a cover for the positive side of the battery. And then it looks like there's two battery cables and the a flexible fuel inlet there, or hose. The battery actually sits right in here. Not sure what that screws from. Battery will sit right in here. It doesn't come with a battery, so you got to pick one up. From the manual and online that I was reading, looks like they recommend a small deep cycle battery, especially for the off-grid. For off-grid, only because when this isn't running, you still need the battery to be charged and working, because that's what powers the onboard circuits and computer and stuff like that. So this is your the gas here, comes in here. It can run on either natural gas or propane. By default, or from the factory, it comes set for natural gas. And to convert it to propane, it's actually just a switch here that you have to rotate over 180 degrees, and that makes it work off of propane. Overall, it looks pretty solid. It's got the Evolution control panel here. Underneath the flap, it's got a fuse and looks like a USB port for upgrading the firmware and such. When you first hook it up, from what I've read online and in the owner's manual, when you first power it up, it comes up and you have to activate the generator through either a website or a 1-800 number you call, and you just have to call in your serial number or online, enter your serial number, and then it gives you an activation code. Without that, when you fire it up, it will only run in manual mode. It won't run in automatic mode, which in the long run is how it's going to be set up. There are a couple of bolts still that are holding it down to the skid that it's sitting on. It also has in here, it also has the 70 amp dual breaker here for where are we, for the disconnect that'll go over to my generator. And inside this panel here, I need a screw to get into it. Hold on. So it's just got a Allen key to get into the side here. Trying to do this one-handed. So then in here is all of your the different connections. So you've got your main, your power mains. This is the output. Will go over to my inverter, and then it's also got, depending on your setup, you'll have, if you're connected to a grid, you've got your sense wires here. So you'd bring a connection from your grid or from the household grid into here, so the inverter or so the generator knows that it's got grid power, and then this won't turn on. And then it also has your, if you're connecting up to a transfer switch, again, if you're connected to the grid. In my situation, all I'm going to be connecting will be the inverter connection here, as well as the neutral and a ground. And then under here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a couple of connections here, and these are the 2-wire start that will go over to my inverter. So when my battery bank is low, it's automatically going to send a signal to these 2 wires here, and that'll turn the inverter on, or the generator on. I'm going to spend a little bit more time with this. As far as the installation goes, it's going to happen in 2 stages. If you've been following along and you watched my trenching video just I don't know, a month or so ago, you'll remember that I installed a trench from basically from this corner right there over to behind the pump house, and that's where the inverter is, or when the generator is going to permanently sit. But it's like we're on, you know, middle of January. Actually, we just had a little bit of a thaw, but over right in there is where the generator is going to be, and it's still under a couple of feet of snow right now. So it's not going to happen now. The permanent install, sorry about the light there. The permanent install is not going to happen now, only because I want to pour a concrete pad and I want to anchor the generator to the concrete pad. And I still have to finish up some electrical over there, get some conduits in, pull cables, you know, get the inspector in to check it all out. But I want this. I'm going to be doing a video coming up soon on my, you know, winter use with my solar. And right now, we're not using a lot of power, but it's still sometimes a challenge when you go, you know, 4, 5, 6 days without any kind of sun and a whole lot of snow, because unless you're clearing your panels 2 or 3 times a day, even if there is a little bit of sun, the snow is blanketing it out. I clear when it's a day like today and there's supposed to be sun all day. I go and clear the panels because I'm trying to keep the batteries topped up, and also so I have some power to use. But I don't want the batteries to keep dropping below, I think they've never gotten lower than 60% right now. But I don't want them to even go that low over the winter, because my room isn't heated or anything like that. So I am going to temporarily hook up the generator in the barn here, just so I can come out and manually turn the generator on, give the batteries a good charge, and keep them topped up as I need them. Before anyone freaks out about, you know, temporarily installing the generator inside, you'll notice my barn is not completed. So like it's wide open up there to the outside. It's also wide open up here to the outside. So even though it is inside of a building, the roof and airflow and everything is wide open, and it is propane. It's not, you know, like we're running diesel or gas or anything like that. And when I do come and manually run it, I'll pull open the big overhead doors here as well. But yeah, so it's going to be 2 different installs. I'll videotape, or I'll video both of them, so you know everyone can kind of follow along on the process, and also, you know, for the startup of the generator, I'll videotape that, so anyone that, you know, these generators, these eco generators, at least the 15 kilowatts, they're fairly new. I didn't find a lot of information on them on YouTube or anyone else's channel, so I'm going to try to put as much information as I can and hope that it helps somebody. But I'm going to get into some more projects today, and then I'll get back to this probably tomorrow or something and get the temporarily gas hooked up to it and electrical temporarily hooked up to it. But more about that next time. Until then, have a good one.